All right, so we shall start. Thanks everybody for attending in today's webinar. We're talking about the new trends in strategy and innovation. This webinar is brought to you by Haft Academy in partnership with Forefront Consulting. And we are accompanied by our prestigious instructors and panel speakers in order to shed some light on the new trends of what is going on in today's strategy world, as well as what is happening in the innovation world and what will be needed in the next years when it comes to bringing innovation and strategy to the game. But before we say so, let me walk you through who we are and what do we do in general to give you a little bit of an idea about Haft Academy and what do we do in terms of our strategy. We are providing educational content and educational material for all of our executive courses and education. We have more than 6,000 participants who we have trained in the past. We have presence in over 30 countries, and we have trained more than 50 organizations, as well as having more than 30 trainers plus whom are diversified in multiple fields, either finance or strategy or digital transformation and so on and so forth. Our headquarters in UAE, and we have also offices in KSA and UK. We are also validated and approved by the European International University in Paris, which basically means that any program or educational material that will come out of Haft Academy will be automatically validated and approved by the university itself, which is ranked at 51 the top business schools worldwide, as well as top 11 business schools in France. Our world-class trainers, of course, are here with us, including Dr. Rashad, Islam, Arwa, and at last but not least, Muhammad Al-Rubi. We have also more than 20 instructors who are working in multiple fields, bringing over 200 years of experience combined to the table and bringing a well-diversified background for all of us. Our strategic partners are limited but not shown as PwC Academy, 360 Business Partners, Forefront Consulting, of course, as Islam is presented with us, CFO University, and more. And today we will talk about the missing component in strategy, which will be shedding the light on the logic and the buildup of the strategic choices. But before we say so, I would like to bring Islam to the table and give him my greetings for attending in today's webinar. And I would like to leave the floor for you, Islam. Thank you for attending in.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Thank you very much for the introduction. Okay, let me share. Okay, let me probably I will give more insights about myself later, but let me give you a quick introduction. My name is Islam Saadani. I am a strategy consultant. I'm the managing director of Forefront Consulting, where we work on establishing strategies for companies. We worked with more than 50 different clients in more than 30 plus industries in 4 different countries. We have a very, very wide experience in making strategies work. And we're glad that we are partners with Haft Academy, and this program is provided within this partnership. Gladly. And we've been partners for maybe more than a year now. And it's our pleasure. Okay, Ahmad, do you want me to? Okay, yeah, we're good.
Go ahead.
Yes, okay,
you
great.
Want to share my screen at my side, or you want to present it at your side?
I'm good. If you're okay like this, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. Please go ahead.
Okay, great. So
By the way, guys, sorry, Islam, for interrupting. If
please,
you guys have any questions or anything regarding today's topics, please feel free to drop it in the chat or in the Q&A box, and we will reply to you. Islam, please go ahead.
great. Thank you. Okay, so today what I want to use or to utilize my 10 minutes today in the webinar, we'll be sharing some findings or some maybe knowledge bites, as they call it, relevant to the CSO program. So I will take my time now. It's my 10 minutes, and then I'll pass the mic. The topic that I want to discuss today, or the knowledge bite that I want to share today, is with the title of The Missing Component in Strategy. We actually collaborate with many clients working on a strategy. However, in many times, we have this missing part of strategy that is not really clear for the decision makers and the stakeholders. And I'd like to shed the light on this part today in my short available time. So basically, in any strategy, in any strategy that you are working on, first the first question that comes in mind: what is a strategy? And I don't want to go to very basic definitions. The CSO program is a very in-depth program that I will share more insights about it by the end of the session. But here we want to talk about the essence of a strategy. Strategy, maybe there's a lot of definitions, and you might find in many contexts many definitions, different definitions, complementary definitions. And here what I want to tackle is the essence of a strategy. Let me tell you, strategy is about the choices. In its simplest form, strategy is it's the choices that you make to move from one point to another. So having these list of choices and knowing how to study them, how to compare them, and how to score them and evaluate them to make decisions and to set the priority, that's the key component of a strategy. So strategy is the choices that you make as a company to achieve your aims, achieve your objectives, move from where you are, and that's the essence of it. And to take this one step further, I will share the concept of where to play and how to win. So A.G. Lafley, in his book Playing to Win, he shared more insight about this how question or these choices, and summarized the choices between two components, which are where to play and how to win. And where to play is basically about identifying the directions that the company will pursue, the decisions, the moves. Basically, it's the offerings that they will offer to a certain segment in a certain geography, in a certain context. So basically, these are the offerings, the clear directions, the pillars that the company decide upon. And the second component is how to win. How are we going to compete? The competitive strategy. I believe the missing component in many strategies is actually the where to play. In many strategies, when you go to meet clients, you can ask them, how are you competing in the market? And this can come to mind. Okay, we're competing on our speed, we are thinking of convenience, because the concept how to win, or the competitive strategy, or the business strategy, all these terms might intersect, are somehow clear to businessmen. How are you competing? How are you acquiring clients? What differentiates you? This is an answer that might come to mind. But the question where to play is the question that normally it has no answer. What are you doing? What are you offering to which segment? What are the main directions that you're pursuing? And even the more hard or the harder question is what you do not do, because it's sometimes it's easy to answer the question what do you do, but the harder question is what you do not do. So the way to play, that's what I call the missing component in a strategy. Many strategies has its own business strategy, how are we going to compete, but what are we going to do and what not? That's the crucial part that I want to tackle in my time today. So great, let's move further. Please drop any questions in the chat or in the QA, and as Ahmed said, and we'll come back to you right away. So taking this further, the strategic planning process it's a 4-step process. It's a common baseline process. It's the foundation. understanding the dynamics or situation analysis, then choosing your strategy, making your choices, and then turning this into objectives, execution plans, and turning things into on-ground numbers and targets. That's the basic one. There are a lot, again, there's a lot of frameworks, but that's the more broad approach to build a strategy. And I'll not go through all these steps. I will tackle the component of the directions or the strategy selection part, partially, of course. Um, so the three levels of strategy, any strategy has three levels, and this might be debatable, so embrace this. There's a corporate level strategy, that's a famous one. There's a business level strategy, and the third one is not so common. It's directional level. Normally, when you go search strategy, you might find corporate, business, and you might find functional. You don't normally find the directional one. That's why I call it the missing component in strategy. And there's a debate about having functional strategies as a strategy. Sometimes there's a debate of functions has no strategy. Functions has their objectives and their action plans that serves the strategy. Because when we overuse the word strategy, that's the logic behind this debate. When we overuse the word strategy, you might find strategy in every department and every function. Of course, it's a practice, and some companies practice it, so no harm. But the concept here that you need to figure out your directional level strategy. That's the missing component that I want to clarify in these short minutes. Of course, the corporate level is the overall mindset. It covers the high level view of the company, how it's thinking. Is it thinking of growing? Is it thinking of stopping? Is it thinking of following someone? It's a high level mindset thing. Then the business level is about the competitive strategy, how the company is competing, how the company is maintaining their competitive edge in the market. And the third level, which is our topic, is the directional level. I'll take you briefly through the directional level strategy clarity. That's a very important part of the strategy. So, yeah. Let me clarify first the types of directional strategies. There are three levels or three types of directional strategies, which are the growth ones, the integration ones, and the defensive ones. So having directions for growth, that's one thing. Of course, it has its own tools. The integration, which is how do you integrate with others and how you work with different players in the market. That's the second one. And the third is the defensive. How can you stop? How can you defend your position? How can you deal with a very tough time? That's the third one. Again, I'll not go through all of these. That's in another discussion, but these are the main types of a directional strategy. And for the sake of the discussion, when you have some options for your company, let's say you will pursue expansion to a certain market, or you will launch a product to your current market, or maybe you will develop a service, or maybe you will penetrate the current market, or maybe you will form a joint venture with a player in the market, or you will shrink or exit a certain business. These are the types of ideas that comes to mind that needs to be decided upon in the directional strategy. And to make this decision, you need to do some steps. I'll take you quickly through them. The first step is building your case. In many cases, we have what you call a paralysis analysis, or maybe you have a problem with many, many choices. So how do you make proper choices in a very dynamic world full of options and ideas? That's where the case building comes in place. So building your case is about identifying some elements. This might seem complex, but believe me, it is. It is complex, but that's how you make very big and multi-billion decisions. So mainly we identify our direction. What is the direction that we are studying now? Is it an expansion? Is it a launch of a product or a service or something? And what's our general description for it? So you have a name for it, let's say expand to Pakistan. The initial description is launching our certain offerings in this country. And eventually we can identify a theme for it. Are we optimizing something? Are we exploring the direction? Are we trying to understand this market? So you put a theme, a high-level theme for this direction. And then you start studying the enabling factors. What are the factors that enable us to do these this expansion. That's a very important part, externally or internally. And then you study the hindering factors. What are the factors that might stop you from doing this expansion externally and internally? And then you identify the return on investment. What is the estimated budget on the short term? And what is the ROI? Again, the estimate ROI for this expansion. And finally, the dependability and risks. Is there a major prerequisite for this direction? Should we do something? And what is the cost of lost opportunity? That completes the study. But a very important component here that we need to make sure that we're aligned on is the strategy relevance. Already you had a foundation, you had a purpose, you had a vision, you had a mission that was built prior going to this step. So you need to make sure that it's relevant to the previous steps you made in your strategy, because if it's different or it doesn't relate, you need to make a choice. Either pursue this direction and change all what you have decided on before this, or you commit to what you have decided upon in your vision, in your mission, previously in building the strategy. After doing these studies or applying this case approach, which is a very, very practical tool, to all the cases or all the directions that you want to pursue, we go for what we call a comparison approach, which is basically a scoring mechanism for the urgency, importance, and ease of the direction. So we have a direction of growing market share, one expanding to Pakistan, three providing financing services. You have a lot of options. You start scoring with a mechanism, of course, there is depth to this tool, some factors that clarifies for you as a team the urgency, how urgent to pursue this direction, how important and how easy. Of course, urgency is it comes from the time sensitivity of the opportunity. We need to move now. We are pressured by our competition and so on. And the importance comes from maybe the long-term impact. That's protection and revenue potential. And ease, of course, increase when we have the capabilities, we have the tools and the finances to pursue this direction. So, okay. You can, it's not clear here. I'm not sure if you see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can see the full screen?
Yes, we can.
Oh yeah, I think I had an issue. So yeah, great. Thank you, Dr. Rashad, for the hint. Okay, so you do have the scoring. You identify the urgency, the importance, and the ease of your direction. So you have clarity, of course, with the final score, which multiplies the different different factors or different scorings that you've made to identify what is the priority, which is the top direction that we should pursue in the upcoming time. And of course, after building this scoring mechanism, which is it builds some logic and adds some logic to many assumptions that the team has made, we move to what we call the directions timeline. So based on the scoring, you start to put the directions in a timeline. So well, you have these choices. You might, by the way, for its scoring, you might cancel one of them, or maybe in a better case where you want to pursue them all, at least based on the opportunity, you have the chance to put them on a timeline so you have clarity on when to do what, because eventually our resources are limited and strategy is about making choices. So having clarity on what did you choose, how did you choose it, how did you score it, and when shall you pursue this direction, that's what I call the missing component in strategy. And I believe when you have this clarity in your strategy, things got much clear for the company and makes them capable to execute the strategy on the ground, because eventually that's what they execute, which is the directions. Of course, they might execute something on the competitor strategy and value propositions, but these are the main pillars that the company would focus on, in addition to many things, of course. But that's the missing component that I was talking about. Yep. So thank you.
Thank you, Islam. Really, you shed some light on how we would be able to build our own strategies in all of our multidimensional companies. I believe that it's already being applied or can be applied in a lot of industries. And you are better than us in this since you are the one who is the expert in it. I know also that you don't have a lot of time to explain all of what strategy means, and it takes hours and hours for one to explain what strategy is. But due to the time limitation, we have to unfortunately stop here. And thank you so much, Islam. But before we move forward, I believe Mona was asking or wanting to ask a question. She was raising her hand. Mona, please go ahead or type your question in the chat if you want. You're on mute, Mona, if you, yeah. Okay, so maybe when she's back, she can drop her question in the chat.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So thank you, Islam, once again. And moving to Dr. Rashad for the KPI setting best practice. Of course, we cannot say strategy without saying KPIs. We cannot really measure what is going or what is happening on the ground without having the actual information, what is happening. And we have the one and only Dr. Rashad to explain and walk with us through what is being used in today's world in terms of using and leveraging the KPIs and the best practice for it. I will leave the floor for Dr. Rashad. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Is my my voice clear?
Yes, very clear, Dr.
Yes,
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 Okay,
please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity, and I'm very happy to join this very prestigious team and panelists. And thank you for joining. So we can start with the KPI with talking about, if you don't mind, yes, exactly how to select the KPIs. These are probably the most interesting five criteria we use. It has to be strategically relevant to the manager and not necessarily to the top leader or the CEO. Number two, it has to be practical and getting the data and measuring the KPI. Number three, frequency. So I prefer always to have quarterly KPI, monthly KPI versus yearly. And the reason being is it will help me throughout the year versus get shocked and surprised at the end of the year. Easy to understand. So the whole balance scorecard or the strategy tracking is about communication. And if the people they don't understand what they mean by this KPI, so you miss the boat on this. Number five, providing insight of what's happening inside your section or inside your corporation. By the way, I will try my best to stick with 10 slides, 10 minutes. So let's move on, please. I have one at the bottom here. So workshop will help to move from the first draft to the selected KPI by the team. And this is very important for the buy-in as well. So next slide. This is the most important slide for me today. KPI does not start with the verb, especially increase and decrease. And I don't like using at all percent increase and percent decrease. I prefer to just say percent and let the eye decide how much it will go up and down. And it's very easy for the eye to say, okay, it's increased by 50% or 30%. So if a KPI start with, no, actually, can you go back? If you don't mind. Yes, a KPI starts with the value of, number of, average of, total of, percentage of. This is very important because when you do this, it will be very easy to put the number next to the name of the KPI. I know it's very simple, at the same time, it's very difficult to implement. And usually people, they go back to that old habit of putting verb and especially increase, decrease, especially increase percentage and decrease percentage. Thank you. Let's go to 19, please, page 19. So in most my consultancy work, I'm a consultant by design. 90% of my time is consulting. Through my company, KPI Mega Library, So what I do, the majority of my consultancy project is to get people to use common KPIs. Common sometimes for the core, which is they have a asterisk next to it, the star, or one more answer, please, or the KPI that applies to all sections and departments. And here we're talking about, for example, financial OPEX variance for everybody, a bit only for core businesses, revenues, satisfaction, customer satisfaction, market share. I like using a lot of timely closure of audit observation because this is how we empower audit. That usually they are not listened to. And then project on time, on budget, processes automated. Let's hit one enter for the left of the screen, please. Hit enter, exactly. So people average employee satisfaction rate, this is basic. And in more cases, I like you to use it for comparing which sections are happier than the other. And based on this, HR can go back and talk to people who are abusing their employees versus supporting them, burning them versus make them comfortable. A number of innovation ideas. If you want to focus on innovation, training hours per FTE, the average or minimum training hours. I like the second one because it's much more fair KPI than the first one, average training hours. And then, of course, especially in our region right now, the turnover is very high. So I will probably monitor the turnover. 5-10% is the average. If you have 30, it's a problem. If you have 1, it's a problem. Let's move on, please. So one time, a company interviewed many CEOs, and they discovered that related to quality, they discovered that we cannot treat all departments similar. Financial usually is very easy to define and also to track frequently because their language is numbers. And by default, they have monthly, weekly, yearly, quarterly reports. So it's not a big deal at all to find KPIs and financial. Same thing in operation. Usually they have a lot of KPIs. When you go down to customer or employees or even innovation, things becomes much more difficult to track and less frequent. Okay, so we cannot treat all departments the same. Let's go to 21, please, page 21. So how many forms that we have for KPI? The first one is okay. So you have to click enter every 10 seconds now. Absolute number. Absolute number is easy to understand. Percentage is actually 2 numbers. Indices, this is combination of KPIs, mixed bag of KPIs with weightage. I don't like using this one internally. Ranking students inside the university, ABC, and then rating in hotels, 5-star, 3-star, 2-star, and then ratios. This is the cousin of percentages, the number not on top of each other. They are next to each other. Okay, usually it's like 1 versus 1, for example, teacher, 40 students, 1 doctor for 40 patients. So each one have their own kind of advantages and disadvantages, but I like the most is absolute number because it's very easy to communicate. Thank you very much. Let's go to 2022. Yeah, if you can just hit one more time. Yeah, keep hitting every 10 seconds as well. Lagging and leading, they are very popular. Lagging is at the end of the process when it's too late to fix anything. Leading is really to help you out throughout the process, like how many hours you spend with the client. So this is really leading you to a good results. Strategic is when you want to open a new branch in different city versus operational, and how many customer are you selling on a daily basis. Effectiveness is when you want to do things. Efficiency when you want to do the same thing, but you have to do it in less time, less effort, less money. Quantitative, Usually we use survey. Sorry, quantitative. Sorry, this is a full number. But qualitative is when we use surveys to convert feelings and levels of understanding, level of pain to a number. Short term, usually we focus on 1 year. Long term is 5 to 10 years. Financial is when you have dollar sign inside the name of the KPIs or even in the formula. The rest are non-financial. Business is when it's attached to your own mandate. Project based when they are attached to a project and usually they finish at the end of the project. Output outcome, usually we use this one for government. Output is really when you track how many graduates succeeded at the end of the year in Ministry of Education. Outcome is really when they make an impact on the economy when they fund a job, for example. Thank you. Let's go to next. Yeah, keep printing 3 times, entering 3 times. So polarity is positive, negative. Positive is when the KPIs increase, and we want them to increase, like graduates, profit, revenues. More is better. Usually the formula is accurate over target. And the opposite is true when it gets to negative polarity. And we have probably 10-15% of KPIs, they have a negative polarity, which is less is better. Less is better. And what is the formula for this? We reverse the formula. Now it's target versus actual, like complaints and accidents and so forth. Okay, so can you put enter exactly? So as you can see here, first one is increases better, second one, negative polarity, decreases better. And then the green is on the opposite side here. Okay, let's go to 24. And yeah, let's put first enter. So yeah, if you can also enter every 5 seconds. So improve quality, process, saving, safety. So we need to improve all this. This is all positive polarity, staff satisfaction, customer service, and resource utilization. For the negative polarity, it's actually to reduce stuff. Decrease is better, time-wise, cost, errors, inventory, space, waste, and efforts. So both are needed, but the focus mainly is on the first column, which is improve. Thank you. Let's go to 25. One more enter. So based on this, we need to understand what is the threshold and the colors as well. I always prefer to use the same threshold and color, if you don't mind pressing one answer, for the whole KPIs in one section. Okay, so based on this, I to always understand what green means. Green means is like 100 and above, not 90, 100 and above, because when I meet the requirement, then it's turned to green. Sometimes people mistakenly they put 90, it's strong. Meeting expectation is 100%, not 90. 70 to 99 yellow, and less than 70 you might have it less than 60 sometimes is red. So this is applied for all KPIs inside the organization. Same rule, same everything. Okay, let's move on. This is my gift to you. I enjoy producing solutions to help people like you. I developed the first book 14 years ago. It was an Amazon bestseller at the time. I have 17,000 KPIs as a list of names. Now we have, this is free of charge, by the way, so you can always download it immediately. Go into your own App Store, download KPI Mega Library, which is the same name of my company. We have it in Arabic, we have it in English. And also we have a system. If you're looking for a system to manage your own strategy, check keepy.cloud. I'm going to put the name inside the chat here, keepy.cloud. It's now used all over the place, all over the world, in 109 languages, including IBM of Saudi Arabia. They adopted this one and the best cloud system for strategy, empowered by artificial intelligence big time, and it's so easy to use. You can implement it in 3 days. You configure in a couple hours, and then you upload the data, and you're up and running. You can do it literally in 1 day if you have the data ready. It used to take us 6 months. How much does it cost? It's free for 14 days. And then you can buy like one, for example, user, which is $40 for a whole year, and you can enjoy it for a whole year just to test it. If you like it, then you can invite users. You don't need anybody. You don't need IT people. You don't need finance people. You don't need us as a keepy.cloud. Everything is self-managed. You open an account in your own work email, and here you go. I mean, you go on your own. You watch over 2 hours video. You get certification automatically, and you begin to build your own system online immediately. So I hope all these tools, systems, apps, books will help you out throughout your career. Thank you again for having me, and we go back to host with big thanks again.
Thank you, Dr. Rashad. Really, really insightful when it comes to setting the KPIs. We've learned a lot about how to utilize and leverage it in our workplaces. But I believe that we had a question from Ms. Dua. I believe that she was raising her hand.
Please.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, I think you're not permitted. Unmute yourself, please, if you don't mind.
So you have to try to. Yeah, you have to let them unmute themselves, I think, by the setting.
Yeah, now she is, if I'm not mistaken. Are you able to speak? I think.
By chat, if she would like to add
Yeah,
by chat.
she dropped. Okay. So again, we will collect her question if there is anything, and if it's after the webinar, we will message you, Ms. Dua, right afterwards. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rashad, really for your valuable time and for your insights. I really learned a lot from you. And moving on to the innovation and how we would be able to be creative and innovative at the same time in our workplace. Of course, we have Ms. Arwa. Please go ahead, and I would leave the floor for you. Unmute yourself, Ms. Arwa, if you don't mind.
So thank you so much, Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum jami'an. So first, thank you so much for giving me this a chance to be one of the amazing trainers team. So my part, it's about innovation. It's about nowadays how we can adapt the requirements that we need to be prepared for the future, for the organization, for the business. So today I'm going to cover just only 2 topics. I hope it will be very enjoyable for you guys. So usually I like in my training to engage the attendees. So the first topic is about S-curve analysis, business life cycle. And the second topic is about innovation types. So the next slide. Okay, basically I will give you some brief information about myself. My name is Arwa Al-Sayari. I have over 15 years of experience between public and private sectors. And I'm honored to be one of the advisors and decision makers in Mohammed bin Rashid Innovation Fund. And also I have a certificate which is related to innovation sector, which is from Cambridge University and also from Hamdan Smart University. I have an experience from different fields, like in innovations, strategy, and excellence, and for sure in IT. I started as an IT actually. So this is in brief. So let's go ahead. Let's start with Kodak. Did you hear before Kodak? I think people from my generation who used to use Kodak. Please raise your hand or you can just answer. Did you hear about Kodak before? Yeah? Yes, for sure. Akram, tell me, what do you know about Kodak? Used to be a market leader. Good answer. In Akram Ahmed?
Sorry?
So, yeah.
Yeah. I believe someone was raising their hand.
Yeah, photography business. Correct. It's a photography business. There is
Yeah.
an answer. So I think there is two. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Answered. Okay. So correct. It's a photography. It was a very famous company. Whoever would like to have a camera, immediately the Kodak brand will come up to their mind. There is no one options, and there is no competitor. However, today we can't hear the name of Kodak, or even the new generation. They will ask you, what is Kodak? So why do you think they reached to this point? Why Kodak is not available anymore in the markets? So this question, it's related strongly to the S-curve analysis. So first, why they call it S-curve? Because it takes the shape of S. So this is in brief, the life cycle of any business. It starts from, so there's main two line, which is time and the product itself. So any business or any product or any service, when they start an early adopt, they come up to the market, they will see there is a lot of interest people, they will start using the product, and they will notice there is a growth in the market, their name and even their profits. By the time they will reach to the maturity point, which means there is a stability, there is no decrease or increase on the market for a certain time. By the time the business owners, they will notice that their business start to drop. This is the normal business life cycle. Smart people or the smart entrepreneur, they are not going to just see what the markets will do. They need to take an action. They need to start to look for solutions. So in this point, when they are going to look for a solution, there is a point, there is a stage, they call it innovation window. The innovation window, it's a phase which is between the old products and the new product which they are going to design. So in this area, they need to come up with a new idea, either if they need to add an enhancement or to come up with a fresh idea, fresh product in the market. So this is about the S-curve analysis. So it's a continuous journey. Because Kodak, they didn't take or they didn't consider the continuity of the life cycle, they just stopped. They didn't look up for a new solution. They just I think they were satisfied with with the product, and they thought that people they return back to the old solution, or maybe based on the articles that I have read, they didn't believe on the new invention. So this is about the S-curve analysis. So the next slide, please. Okay, innovation types. As I mentioned previously, there is an innovation window. Okay, what do we need to do, or what invention that we need to consider? And is there differences between any invention that we need to come up in the market? So there are 4 types of innovation. The type of innovation actually is very important and critical for the business owners, because based off the type, they keep organizations competitive in the market, how they sustain their performance in the market. So to identify the type of the new solution, there's 2 main criteria, which is how they are going to impact the market. The second criteria, the product and the service value. The new things, is it new or is it an existing solution? So if they are going to come up with a new enhancement with an existing product, and they are going to have a slight enhancement, this is meaning that the meaning of the type of the innovation, it's incremental innovation. That's mean it's a very slight enhancement that we can notice with the Apple or iPhone. So usually every period of time, they will notice there's an enhancement, there is new tools, or there's new ideas, regardless if people, they like it or not. And the second time is the breakthrough innovation. They are going to focus in a new market, but with the same value. They call it breakthrough because they are going to break a new market. They are going to try, or in a market they think based on the business owners and their let's say the indicators, they believe it will add a new value. So the example of this one, and it's a very good example, is the Apple Watch. The same idea of the iPhone. We can answer the calls, we can see the pictures, or even we can check whatever contact list we need to check. So what they did, they used the same idea of the iPhone, but via the watches. The third criteria, it's a disturbed innovation. Disturbed innovation, that's mean they are going to add new products. They are going to use the same market, which is, let's say, but they are going to provide the service in a different way. They call it disturb because the new tool may harm the previous product. For example, the laptop. Nowadays, few people, they are usually actually the personal computers. And some of us, we can feel that it's a little bit strange how they are still using the personal, So it's the same idea, the same service, but in another way. The last type of innovation is a transformation innovation. This is a very huge, usually, it's a very difficult, when I say difficult, that means it will take time, human resource, and even the challenges to come up with in the market with this type of solutions, because they are going to bring up with a new idea, with the new solutions, with the new, and they are going to create new markets. And for sure, there is a resistance. I think most of you will agree that for any changes, there will be a resistance. That's what we call it transformation. A very good example of this is the internet. So with having the internet had a very big impact in our life, not in a certain or a specific geographic, but it's in a worldwide, and it has a very big impact. So the innovation type and the S-curve, it's very, very related to, because when you are going to reach to a stage which is window innovation, you need to be very keen with the type of innovation or type of solution that you are going to come up with. If you want to last for a long time, that means you need to go up with your solution, disturb of breakthrough or transformation, because as you know, the slight changes which will not last for a very long time. So you need to be very smart. And that's it from my side, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Arwa, for your great presentation regarding the innovation products, and actually mentioning the iPhone example is a really reflective one, because when we are taking a look at the latest one, for example, in the market today, it doesn't have much of a change compared to the one in the last year's version. But yet they are offering it because they want to keep pushing a step-by-step incremental move, or maybe a very not decisive move in order to keep up with their innovation cycle, because they know for a fact that if they burned everything to the ground, they will not have anything else to provide for the next year. So thank you so much for bringing up such an example, and thank you for your great presence today. So at last but not least, do we have any questions regarding her presentation or anything in general for any of our instructors before we move on with the next part, either for Mr. Islam or Dr. Rashad?
I think there are a couple of questions in the Q&A, Ahmed.
Okay, yeah, let me see it. Ihab is raising a hand. Please go ahead. Okay, so we have the very first question from Qaisar Ashraf. Given the rapid technological advancements, how can organizations effectively evaluate and prioritize the types of innovation they should adopt to maintain a competitive edge? I believe this question is for you, Arwa.
What is his name again?
Qaisar.
It's a very smart question, Mr. Qaisar. Thank you so much. So your questions is very critical. Unfortunately, some organization, they just come up with projects just because they would like to apply the future technology or the technology advancements. Waste of time, waste of money. So to make sure they are going to implement the project effectively, they need to have what we call it innovation strategy. The innovation strategy, as Mr. Islam said earlier, that it's a way that will give us an idea where do we need to go and what. So in innovation world, it's a way that we need to be very clear with the horizon. We call it horizon. There's 3 types of horizon in innovation. The first horizon, which is concentrate on projects, which is for the existing market. And the second horizon, it's in the mid, between 2 to 7 years. And the third horizon, it's more than 10 years. So when the organization are very clear with these three criteria, they will know exactly if this project or this any technology will be aligned with their target. And for sure, based on the innovation strategy, it's a very important standard that we need to be ready for the changes, to be ready with any reasons of competency that we can face it during our existing the market. I hope I answered your question.
Perfect. Moving to the second question from Ihab Saeed, if I'm not mistaken. This one is also for you, Ms. Arwa. He says, hello, Arwa. Given that SMBs typically operate with tight budgets, can they still innovate within their markets? And what resources or strategies they need in order to be able to contribute to innovation trends in the market? I think this one is really critical as well.
Yeah. So thank you, Mr. Ihab. Can we innovate? Yes, we can innovate. Innovation sometimes it doesn't relate it just with the money or budget. Yes, it's a very critical. We need money, but there is different way to innovate. That's why we have usually in an organization, what do they do? There is a percentage. They usually categorize it based on type of project. Let's say usually the huge projects takes time and a budget or money. Usually the best practices, they focus on a very short-term project, which usually they have a turnover. Based on this turnover, they use it to support them in order to achieve the upcoming innovative projects. Yes, this is my answer. The second question?
This was the second one. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, the resources. What do we need? Yeah, we need money,
Okay.
time, people, a very strong leadership who believe in innovation. If you have a good leader or a good manager or CEO who really support you, then your life will be very easy. Other than that, the best of luck of you. Thank you so much.
Perfect. So do we have any other questions in terms of how do we want to apply either a KPI or strategy in general or innovation before we move to the next step? All right. So moving with that, I would like to really bring a very good news for everybody here in regarding the Certified Chief Strategy Officer program. This is a new program that we are creating for the market in terms of giving really strategic insights and giving what we can do and apply in our work environment in order to move it to the next step and in order to take it and accelerate it to the next level. The Certified Chief Strategy Officer, of course, is also, as well as we said, that it's accredited and approved by the European International University in Paris. The program is consistent of multiple modules that will take the candidate through a lot of levels of understanding what strategy really means, starting from strategic thinking for strategists, to planning and execution, moving through the KPIs, as well as the innovative part or the innovation and applying it in strategy as well as in your business. And at last but not least, the analytical part, the business analytics part, and the usages and leveraging AI and artificial intelligence in strategy and how we can utilize it and enhance it to make it make an impact in our day-to-day activity.
Thank you, Ahmed. Islam, I guess you need to add more explanation about the program. You can go to the previous slide.
Yeah.
Sure. Shall I share my own my slides or shall I continue here?
Yeah, you can share your screen instead.
Okay, so let's let me take this up quickly. Give me a moment.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, let me give you a brief about. You can see me in full screen. Am I clear
No, can you share again?
You are on full screen now.
I'm not in full screen now.
You are in full screen now.
Am I in full screen?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Okay, I'll be sharing shortly. So what I want to share with you is maybe a more detailed.
Sorry, Sam, can you share it again? We can't see your screen.
Yeah, it's fine. It will appear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, what I want to share is a brief details about the program outline. So I'll give you an overview on the outline of the program. So basically, the Chief Strategy Officer program focuses on multiple components. The first module will be focusing on the strategic thinking. How do you think strategically? How do you apply strategic thinking? What are the attributes, the framework thinking, and all the components of thinking, which is the baseline for any strategic leader to build their strategy acumen. That's the first module. So that's where we learn to think somehow. For the second module, we'll be focusing on the planning practices. How do we plan? How do we, by the way, the first module will be offered by Dr. Muhammad Ali. He's not with us today, but he'll be there in the program. So the second module is about planning practices. I'll be conducting this module. It's basically about strategic planning and foundation setting, situational analysis, making strategic choices. It's the baseline of any strategic planning practice. So it focuses on all the components of the strategy that I discussed at the start of the session. The third module, I'll be conducting this as well, which is it's from planning to execution. It focuses on the execution of strategy. How to establish governance. Kaiser was asking this question in the chat about how to stay rapid and the strategy stay robust in the different dynamics of the markets. So it's basically about building governance for the strategy execution, communicating your strategy, how you do this, and what are the tactics. Of course, the monitoring and the control and the reviews and the checkpoints. The PMO establishment, and sometimes it's the SMO establishment, which is it's basically the strategy management office establishment. Sometimes it's part, the PMO becomes part. PMO is the project management office. Sometimes it's part of the SMO, and sometimes it's just the SMO there. So basically, that's about execution, about making strategy work on the ground. The fourth module is about managing change. How do you manage change to execute your strategy? That will be conducted by Dr. Muhammad as well. So it focuses on change management models. How do you apply change management? How do you deal with the different stakeholders and shareholders, maybe? So all the stakeholders that are impacting the business, how do you deal with them? How do you play with different tactics to get the best out of them? So that's the fourth module. The fifth module, what Dr. Rashad talked about, which is the KPIs. Which if you have a strategy and you have objectives on the high level of the company, but you don't have KPIs, clear KPIs on the ground to execute and to monitor these strategies, it would be a problem. So setting KPIs and monitoring the performance is essential to make sure that the strategy is monitored and clear on the ground. And this module is offered by Dr. Rashad. And then we will go to the innovation. That's the module offered by Ms. Marwa. So Marwa will be tackling the part of innovation, the fundamentals of it, the integration with the strategy, the different models, of course, the blue ocean strategies, all the innovation tactics and innovation models that affects affects the strategy. And last but not least, the business analytics and the AI in strategy. Mohammed Ruby will be delivering part of this module, and I'll be providing the other part, which is basically focuses on the business analytics and how do you make informed decisions based on data. And of course, the AI, which is the theme of the era, and we need to tackle how to use AI in a strategy to be able to cope with the new practices and new tools. So yeah, that's in brief what I wanted to share with you about the model or the program.
Perfect. Thank you, Islam, so much. And I believe that we can conclude it with this point. If there is any questions or if we do have anything in regards of the Certified Chief Strategy Officer or anything in particular for any of the topics that we discussed today, whether it's related to strategy or KPI setting or anything related to innovation, please feel free to drop your questions, whether here on Zoom, or you can send us all of your questions over the email or WhatsApp, as explained earlier. And with that, we will conclude today's session. Thank you so much for attending and for taking your time to see our content, and see you in the next webinars, inshallah. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.